Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is directed by Quentin Tarantino, and this is the ninth feature film from him. This is now almost culminating his original promise of making only 10 movies in his entire career, which makes me sad because I like Tarantino. I would like to see more movies from him someday. But anyway, this film stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, and Margot Robbie, and when we were at the screening, we were specifically told not to discuss things about the film because they didn't want any spoilers to go out. Now I know what you're thinking. Why would this be a spoiler film? And then we watched it, and then we realized, oh, that's why. Okay. So, out of courtesy of the announcement, and because I want you guys to go in as blindly as possible to see this, I'm not going to tell you anything about the plot. All you need to know is that this movie is seen through the eyes of mainly two people: Rick Dalton, played by Leonardo DiCaprio, and Cliff Booth, his stuntman, played by Brad Pitt. And it's about this time in Hollywood in the 60s where things were evolving, things were constantly changing. There were new filming techniques, there were new actors kind of trying to come into it, and new methods of acting. And it's about how these two are trying to adjust to a time which is consistently not staying stable. There's always something new coming up that changes things, and seeing the world through those eyes. And in the meantime, there's also another actress on the rise currently by the name of Sharon Tate, played by Margot Robbie. When it comes to Tarantino, I love Tarantino. I think he's a fantastic director, and I think he's a really great writer too. And the fact that he's able to balance his two major duties of that sort so well is remarkable to me. He is a major film inspiration in that regard, and I know it's cliched to say this, but it's true. He's a really great director, and that cannot be argued because he's made amazing movies up till this point. I have yet to not like a Tarantino film. I've really enjoyed all of them. I even enjoyed Death Proof, part of that Grindhouse 2 feature thing in 2007. I mean, he's a really wonderful director, and he's really got what it takes to make amazing films. I loved Hateful Eight, the last thing he did, and obviously I was very excited for this. And I actually did not see any trailers for this. I walked into this film completely blind. I hadn't seen a sliver of footage, and I'm so glad I did because this film was wonderful. I have not had such a happy time in a way in the theater for a very long time. I had a grin on my face the whole time from the moment the movie started till the time it ended. And this film had me for its entire 2 hours and 45 minutes, and it just refused to let go. In fact, when the film was coming to a close, I kept thinking, I don't want this to end. That's very rare for me to say about films, and I couldn't wait to see it again as soon as it had ended. And a lot of that is because of the writing and direction. It is masterful. In my opinion, I think this is easily, maybe, arguably actually, Tarantino's best film since Pulp Fiction. I think this is a fantastic achievement, and I would say that it's also anchored because he's really giving it all of his energy. This entire story, and he's doing a really good job of it. There's just this amazing sense of the 60s that he has captured in this film, and he's just really brought it to the forefront in a magnificent way. And I really have to credit him for that. And it's also helped by the performances. Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt are both Oscar worthy in this film. DiCaprio has a scene in this movie that probably should be his Oscar nomination announcement with clip playing moment. It's a great scene. It absolutely deserves that kind of a credit. And Brad Pitt also has a scene like that in this film, which is worthy of a lot of awards attention. Margot Robbie as Sharon Tate is great. She's not exactly the star of this film. She's not exactly, put on the forefront, and it's not like it's her movie to go. But she's great with what she has, and she does a really good job as Sharon Tate. She's playing this actress, like I said, who was up and coming at the time, and so she captured that perfectly. We actually saw this screening in 35 millimeter, which was quite something. I did not expect that to happen. Normally, these screenings are the way they are, but we actually got to see it the way it apparently was intended to, and it was beautiful. It was great because it felt like watching an old-fashioned movie, and it was honestly one of the best experiences in that regard. And you could see the flicker of film throughout, and part of me was thinking, is that just the effect? Is that supposed to actually, or are we actually watching it in 35 millimeter? And then I was looking towards the projector, and I could hear, oh, this is film. This is how we're watching it. That's wow. I love this. I love this experience. It was so great to be there. I was really honored to be invited to this thing, and I was so excited to see this film. So I did not believe this was happening. The cinematography and production design are brilliant. Just fantastic stuff. Again, like the way they've captured this era is phenomenal, and the soundtrack as well is gorgeous. Amazing song choices. There's a few of them which are very interesting because they reminded me of another movie that came out recently. But we'll not talk about that right now. But this film just, there's a lot I want to say about it, but I also realize I can't because, like I said, the spoiler warning is there, so I can't really go into details about the film. So I have to keep this review a little vague, but there's just so much to discover and be amazed by in this movie that you wouldn't mind if I said, really limited stuff about it. In fact, the more you go in knowing nothing, the better. If you've seen trailers for it, that's fine. But honestly, I would recommend going in completely blind because this film surprises at pretty much every turn. I mean, I'm really trying hard to search for issues with this film if I really have anything. There was no such thing. There was one point, there's one uh, little plot point that comes up in the film, which I was kind of thinking would have a very different payoff. But I don't know. I wouldn't say I was disappointed by it at all. It was just like, oh, that's not the payoff I was expecting to that. The way they'd set up that scene, I was figuring something else was gonna happen, but it didn't. So I guess that's a little weird. But also very important to note is that this film is really funny. The humor in this is just fantastic. And it's also a little different from usual Tarantino films because if you're expecting certain tropes to make an appearance because it's a Tarantino film, they do, but not in the way that you think. They're very differently handled this time around to give it a very unique feeling. That's something I do really appreciate about it, is that it's not like a rinse repeat situation, which I do like. I mean, if you're looking for a certain kind of scene where a certain kind of exchange that's there. There's a lot of sequences that are drawn out with dialogue. There's one very long, like 25-minute sequence with Brad Pitt and Margaret Qualley, the girl from The Nice Guys. She's in this movie, which goes on and on and on. But it's not like it's dragging at any point. Like this is, like I said, 2 hour 45-minute film that I didn't want to end. It never dragged for me. But there are long scenes like that. So just prepare yourself for that. I really can't wait to see it again, and I hope you guys enjoy it when it comes out too, because right now, this is probably my favorite movie of the year. I was thinking a lot of time about that because up till now, Avengers Endgame was my favorite movie of the year, but there's a few moments in this where I just can't help but be like, yeah, I think that tops Avengers, guys. Sorry. I mean, you gotta hand it to him on this one. Tarantino, you've done it again. I can't wait to see what you have for your 10th and final movie. I know I heard it's Star Trek, R-rated. Sure. I mean, why not? I mean, I know it sounds like a crazy idea, but I'm curious. I'm so curious. I'm gonna give Once Upon a Time in Hollywood a 10 out of 10. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Look forward to more reviews very soon, including Hobbs and Shaw, which I also did see, but I can't talk about it just yet, legally. As always, if you like this, please do subscribe, and I'll see you guys at the movies.